Before, many people choose wine mostly based on price, prestige, or recommendations from friends. Sometimes first-time wine drinkers prefer wines with names that are easier to pronounce. Today, we meet our more good guests asking about the grape varieties, regions, food pairing, and even service time. I also think there is noticeable difference between generations. Younger guests are usually more open to trying new wines and exploring different tastes, while older guests often prefer labels and styles and they already know and trust. At the same time, both groups are becoming much more interested in the overall wine experience, which is very positive for our hospitality industry.
Welcome to Asia Wine Market Almaty Special Edition with me, your host, Roza. In this special series, we're exploring the growing wine culture of Kazakhstan, with Almaty at the heart of it all. Each episode will meet with Italian wine professionals, importers, somms, and producers who are shaping the future of wine in Central Asia. Whether you're a winery looking to expand into new markets or a local expert curious about the market dynamics, you are in the right place. Hello and welcome to Asia Wine Market Almaty Special Edition 2.0. Today I'm excited to welcome Mustafa Özel, Operational Manager of Esperanza Group here in Almaty. Esperanza Group brings together a diverse portfolio of concepts, including Georgian, Central Asian, Turkish, Mediterranean-inspired restaurants, as well as the banquet halls, karaoke venues, coffee house, nightlife projects. So a very diverse portfolio as we can see. So Mustafa, welcome to the podcast. And can you tell us more about yourself and what first brought you to Kazakhstan?
Hello, Rosa. First of all, thank you for your inviting me to your podcast. I came to Kazakhstan almost 20 years ago. I took an invitation from a former college while I was working in the hospital industry in Turkey. At first, I thought it will be temporary, but over the time, I really started to love Almaty, and I met with my wife here, built my life here, and somehow those few years turned it into almost 20 years.
Mm-hmm. So in 20 years, something that started with the invitation from your friend actually brought you here, and you created the personal life here and also the professional one. Okay. So for today, our key 3 learning objectives from this episode are, first of all, we're going to understand how this multi-concept hospitality groups in Kazakhstan integrate wine into modern dining and entertainment experiences. Second, we're going to explore how Italian wines perform across different restaurant concepts within the Esperanza Group. And we're going to identify future hospitality and wine consumption trends shaping the next generation of consumers in Kazakhstan. To begin with, for our listeners who, most of them, they're outside the region, so could you give us a snapshot of Esperanza Group and the scale of projects you manage within the group?
Yeah, of course. Today as Esperanza Group, we operate different hospitality concepts across the city, including restaurants, banquet halls, nightlife, and entertainment venues, with a total indoor area of around 17 square meters. And at the same time, we are currently in the approval stage of the new 5-star hotel and business center project in Almaty, while also continuing to work in several other sectors outside hospitality. One of the things I enjoy most is working with completely different guest expectations and atmospheres across our hospitality concepts. A business dinner, a wedding celebration, and the nightlife concepts all require a very different approach. For example, during a premium dinner, people usually pay attention to wine itself, the presentation and the quality of service. And in nightlife venues, the energy, music, and speed of the service become much more important. Because of that, we don't approach hospitality in the same way everywhere. Every venue develops its own identity over time. And I think it's one of the most enjoyable parts of this industry. In Esperanza Group, we have 7,020 square meters. And we have 12 sales points in Esperanza. And also in Gogol and Marakanda. Gogol is a Georgian restaurant, Marakanda a Central Asian restaurant. Also, it's totally we have 17,000 square meter.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's quite a big complex comprising different projects. Mm-hmm. So again, you said that you've been living in Kazakhstan for over 20 years. So over the last 2 decades, how have you seen this expectation of the consumers here evolve? Mm-hmm. And what do you think the guests today expect from the modern hospitality?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest chance over the last 20 years is that people today expect much more than just good food. Guests have become much more experienced and selective over the years. Now people travel more and come back with different gastronomic experience. And naturally, this changes their expectations. In the past, guests were focused more on the food itself and the prestige of the restaurant. But today, the expectations are much broader. People pay attention to the atmosphere, music, interior, design, service quality, and even the harmony between food and beverage. This also pushes business to constantly improve themselves, which helps the whole sector continue moving forward. We also see that younger generations are much more curious today. They are asking more questions. They are more open to trying different wines and cuisines. And they care not only about the food, but about the whole experience. Interesting for them.
Well, yeah, I also see that, like, for me, the food is probably the most important still. I'm not like the Instagram person, and I care less for the environment. The food would be the most crucial factor for me. But also, it's still nice when, besides the food, there is also this whole experience, also good service,
Yeah.
also atmosphere, also good interior.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And again, as we mentioned, you run a very diverse portfolio. So everything from this high energy nightlife, let's say, and even karaoke to some family oriented, more like premium dining setting. So how does your beverage and wine strategy shift to match the vibe and identity of each venue within the portfolio?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think beverage and wine strategy always has to match the reason why guests come that venue. For example, in premium dining restaurants, wine becomes a much more important part of the overall experience. Guests spend more time at the table, ask more questions, and pay attention to food pairing, presentation, and service quality. In those kind of places, people are usually looking for a calmer and more complete dining experience. In nightlife or karaoke venues, the dynamic is completely different. People are more focused on the socializing and entertainment, and drinks by the glass usually become more popular than full bottle service. Naturally, the beverage strategy also becomes more dynamic and fast moving. That's why I believe every venue needs its own beverage identity. Trying to apply the same approach everywhere usually doesn't work.
Mm-hmm. And across Esperanza Group venues, how would you describe the current level of wine awareness among your guests and consumers? Are guests becoming more curious and also more confident when ordering wine?
Mhm. Yeah, I think wine awareness has grown a lot of the years. Guests today are definitely much more curious and confident when ordering wine compared to the past. Before, many people chose wine mostly based on price, prestige, or recommendations from friends. Sometimes, first-time wine drinkers preferred wines with names that were easier to pronounce. Today, we meet far more guests asking about the grape varieties, regions, food pairing, and even service time. I also think there is noticeable difference between generations. Younger guests are usually more open to trying new wines and exploring different tastes, while older guests often prefer labels and styles and they already know and trust. At the same time, both groups are becoming much more interested in the overall wine experience, which is very positive in our hospital industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's very good to hear. that people are becoming more curious. And also a good thing that you mentioned also younger generation. So just to resume what you just said, younger generation, they are more explorative and they like to try new wines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's easier to make them try some new wines, some new styles, new regions, and so on.
Yeah,
While
exactly. Yeah.
older generations still tend to stick to their habits.
Yeah, true, true.
Okay, got it. Thank you for sharing that. Now, I'd love to ask you about Italian wine because we're called Italian Wine Podcast. And also another thing, even though Esperanza Group has different style of cuisine, like also Georgian or the Central Asian, I think it's still very important to ask how does Italian wine perform in your restaurants as well, not just in the restaurants that serve Italian food, but also in this kind of restaurant. So, what is the percentage of Italian wines, spirits, and all overall like beverages in your beverage portfolio? And which Italian regions or styles are your absolute top performers right now?
Italian wines different have a strong place in the dining venues, of course. The exact percentage changes from the one venue to another, but overall they perform well because they feel more approachable, more social, and easier to pair with different cuisines. For example, I can say in our Georgian restaurant where dining culture is built more around long dinners and social tables, stronger and more character-driven wines like Primitivo and Ripasso perform very well. In our Central Asian restaurants calling Maracanda, we see that Primitivo also and softer red wines from Italy pair comfortably with pulov, lamb, or traditional meat dishes. In our Turkish and European dining venues in Esperanza, wines like Chianti Classico and Pinot Grigio work very naturally because they are more balanced and food friendly, And of course, Prosecco remains very strong almost everywhere, especially in nightlife, karaoke, and among younger guests. I think one of the biggest advantages of Italian wines is that they combine quality with accessibility. That's why they work comfortably across very different guest groups and dining styles.
Mm-hmm. And also, I'm happy to hear that you named several styles and grape varieties that work well with certain concepts within the group. And just to resume this part of the conversation here, you mentioned the quality, good quality, and also Italian wines being accessible, which is a very good point, especially for restaurant group. Again,
Yeah.
you search for something that will sell well, but also that is price wise, which would be accessible. Okay, and again, about the Italian wines. So it's not only the quality, it's not only the accessibility, but also it's the whole notion of Italian wines and culture. So Italian wines are often associated with this gastronomy, with lifestyle. So from an operator's perspective, what makes Italian wine attractive for your restaurants?
Personally, I don't see dining as simply satisfying hunger. Just like an airplane needs a pilot, I believe good meal also needs the right wine beside it. That's why food pairing has become much more important today, especially on the premium dining side. Guests care much more about which wines work best with certain dishes. And we clearly see that interest in continuing to grow. Compared to the past, people today are also much more comfortable asking for wine recommendations. At the same time, I think hospitality operators, service team have an important responsibility here. The goal should not be pushing the most expensive bottle on the table. Good pairing is about offering different alternatives and helping guests feel comfortable with their choice. In my opinion, one of the most important things is that even the inexperienced guest leaves the restaurant satisfied with the experience they had.
Mhm. It's not only the wine itself, but also it's the pairing with the food and also the service level. This wine was brought to the table to the guests. About dining in Kazakhstan in general. For us, dining, eating together, like dining and eating, it's quite social event.
Yeah.
And also some dinners, they're sometimes like status driven. So what specific role does wine play today in business dinners, some celebrations, let's say, and also the modern lifestyle in nowadays?
In Kazakhstan, dining culture is naturally very social. So wine today has become much more visible, not only in the restaurant, but also at the business dinners, celebrations, and social gatherings. Before, wine was often seen as something more formal or connected to status. Today, especially in bigger cities like Almaty, people approach wine in much more relaxed and social way. And I think Italian wines fit this chance very naturally because they work comfortably with different cuisines and different dining styles. Younger guests are also much more open to trying different wines casually without seeing wine as something too formal or complicated.
Mm-hmm. And that's also good to hear because recently there are a lot of conversations going on about next generation and younger consumers. People are saying that younger people are drinking less.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
also around wine, there is this talk that why younger people are drinking less wine because wine is not accessible. I mean, there is a bit of
Yeah.
snobism around wine, and often the wine professionals use some difficult vocabulary to explain wine. But I'm happy to
Mhm.
hear that you're saying so across your venues, you actually see the interest from younger consumers towards wine.
Yeah. I can say past year in our restaurants, we meet with more than how much people? Just a moment, I'm trying to remember. I
Mhm.
think 400,000 people came to our Esperanza Group restaurants. What I am sharing with you is all of our experience and feedbacks from our guests.
Mhm. Okay, and among those people, how do you think, what is the rough percentage of people under, let's say, 25 or maybe
Mhm.
even 30?
It's different. For example, in the restaurants, we have higher than 30 plus. And for nightclubs, it's starting to 25 plus.
Okay, got it. So we started talking about the younger generation, and I think it's a good segue to move to some of the future trends. So, the next few years, how do you think what trends will define the hospitality in Kazakhstan? And do you see consumers becoming more interested in premium experience, or they're more interested to get educated in wine or beverages, or they're thinking about the business, the restaurant they're going to being like sustainable? So, what do you think about the future trends?
Yeah, I think in the coming years, guests will care much more about the overall experience than they do today. They already look at everything as well: good wine, good food, atmosphere, comfort, and service quality. And people are sharing this experience much more within their social circles now. Honestly, I would include myself. We also clearly see growing curiosity and willingness to learn about wine, especially among younger guests. And people traveling more experience different dining cultures and naturally bring those expectations back with them. At the same time, wellness, lighter drinking options, and low alcohol concepts are also starting to attract more attention. But I still believe that social dining culture, is spending time together, will remain one of the strongest parts of hospital culture in this region.
Okay, so again, to summarize things, the trends that you're seeing, like wellness, you mentioned like lighter drinking options, so drinks with lower alcohol,
Mhm,
also social drinking.
mhm.
Like people are going to go out more because drinking for them, it's a kind of social event.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And about the next generation again, specifically in Almaty, how do you think, are they drinking differently from the previous generation? And also, what do they care about more? Do they care about like this status or prestige, or do they care about storytelling or food pairing or maybe social media? Maybe they just like this bottle of wine or this thing because it's Instagrammable, let's say.
Yeah, I think younger guests today drink is much more relaxed and curious why compared to previous generations. Prestige is, of course, still important, but I think lifestyle, atmosphere, and overall experience have become much more important now. Storytelling also matters because people want to know what they are drinking and why it's special. And sure, social media is big influence on where people go to for the first time, but in the end, the real experience is what decides if they come back again.
Mm-hmm. Everything is important. Again, it's
Yeah,
when
sure.
we look at the big picture, in the end, everything is important. Nothing is less important than
Yeah.
the other. Okay, and to summarize our today's conversation, Italian Wine Podcast, again, we're trying to connect Italian wine producers with different operators in this market, not only the importers, but also, again, you are the representative of the hospitality industry. So we're trying to connect Italian wineries with different players in the market. What would be the biggest piece of advice you would give the Italian wine producers, the wineries? Just share your
Yeah,
advice to
yeah.
them.
Thank you very much for this question. It's a really good point because we have many experience about it. I think one of the most important things for foreign brands entering the Kazakhstan market is being patient, truly understanding the market and listening to experience of hospital and gastronomy operators like us. For example, one of the most common mistakes we see is when brands or distributors try to place the same products in every venue. Sometimes wines did not really match the concept or the guest profile, or still expected to be included on the menu. But from our perspective, slow-moving products increase storage costs and make the menu unnecessarily larger. That's why I believe successful partnership are built when both sides truly understand and each other's operation and guest profile.
hmm Again, here, those kind of mistakes come from miscommunication.
Yeah,
You have to communicate more and you have to understand each other's business, the business
yeah.
model. Okay. And to wrap up the episode, we usually ask the rapid fire questions from our guests. Usually it's 3 rapid fire questions, but for today I prepared 4. So,
Okay.
the first, what's your number 1 piece of advice for a foreign hospitality professional looking to invest or work in Kazakhstan? You've got 20 years of experience.
Yeah. My advice will be to the first time to understand the people and the culture because in this region, trust and human connections are still very, very important part of business.
Mhm. Wonderful. And second, what's one Italian wine you could happily drink every day as a consumer?
Toscana has always been my favorite region. A glass of El Boro with Toscanella cigar is already good enough for me.
You even found a pairing. Okay.
hmm
Number 3, outside of your own venues, what is your favorite spot in Almaty for a great drink or some hospitality venue that you just like?
Yeah, in Almaty have many places, but I would probably say J Bar at the Intercontinental Hotel Almaty. I always enjoy the international atmosphere there.
Okay, that's good to know. I think that is the first time it was mentioned here. And one restaurant or hospitality trend or a concept you believe will become much bigger in Central Asia over the next 5 years?
I think experience-driven and theatrical hospitality concepts will grow much more in Central Asia. People who want more than food and drinks. They want atmosphere, social interaction, and entertainment in the same place.
hmm So the hospitality venues will need to care more about the design, the whole concept, and everything, not just food and drinks.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
exactly.
All right. Thank you so much for your insights. I think it's very, very important not just to talk to the sommeliers, wine educators, or importers, but also the different players within the hospitality sector. Thank you so much for your time and willingness to participate in our project.
Thank you so much, Rosa, again for your inviting me to your podcast.
Okay. See you.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on Asia Wine Market. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a comment, and share this episode with your fellow wine professionals wherever you get your pods. To stay updated on upcoming wine events, market insights, visit ItalianWinePodcast.com. Catch you in the next episode. And until then, cheers from Asia.